You're always emitting information. Everything physical is always emitting information. If you're animated with life, you're emitting energy and information. So what most people do is they say, I want the new house, the new car, the new relationship. I want a big bank account. I want my private jet. They do all that stuff. And then they visualize that. But when they visualize it, they never get in touch with how it would feel if it happened. In fact, they're hypnotized and conditioned into feeling the emotion when it happens. So they may do a little meditation or a little whatever, and they open their eyes and their senses say it's not there.
Yep.
So what do? They experience more lack, more separation. So when you're feeling lack and separation, you try harder.
Yeah.
And now they try matter to try to produce the outcome because they're feeling separate from their future.
Yeah.
So then thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings produce a magnetic charge in the quantum field.
Yeah.
And how you think and how you feel broadcasts electromagnetic energy that influences every single atom in your life. The thought sends the signal out, and the feeling draws the experience back to you.
Yeah.
So then if the person is living in anger, impatience, resentment, frustration, and they're holding the intention of their future, that's mind and body in opposition. There's no vibrational match between anything in their future because they're saying, why hasn't it happened?
Yeah.
And they're waiting for their healing to begin so that they feel gratitude. They're waiting for their success to feel abundance or empowerment. They're waiting for their new relationship to feel love. Well, that's the old model of reality of cause and effect, Newtonian physics. Yeah. Waiting for something outside to change how we feel inside. And if you're living in that lack and you consciously or unconsciously know that you're creating your future, you're creating more lack. And if you're reacting to the people and conditions in your life that are all known to you, then your thoughts and feelings are equal to everything that you know. You keep creating the same life. So then if you have to truly change, then close your eyes, disconnect from the environment, sit your body down, and don't get up and do anything. Don't be in the program of the future, the past, and relax into the present moment. And now, teach your body emotionally what that future feels like before it happens. Now, why? Well, the stronger the emotion you feel from the future you're creating, the more you're going to pay attention to the pictures in your mind. And you're going to begin to remember your future. And biologically, it's the same as remembering your past. So then you have to stay in the feeling of that future in order for you to be aligned to that destiny. And if you lose the feeling because of traffic or a coworker and you start feeling another emotion, you just disconnected from the energy of your future. Now you're back to the energy of your past. And if you tell me it's because of that person that caused it, I'm going to say, oh, you're back to the unconscious program of being a victim. You're telling me that you're allowing something or someone outside of you to control how you feel and how you think. And that's a program. So then it takes great consciousness. It takes great work. So when there's a vibrational match between your energy and it's synchronized with some potential in the quantum field, now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. Because you're connected to the field, you're going to begin to draw events or experience to you. And they're going to come in a way that you cannot predict. Because if you can predict them or anticipate them, they're nothing new. They have to surprise you. That's the unknown, right? And that's the fun part, because the brain learns by mistakes and surprises. Why not a few surprises? And when that event lands in your lap and it comes out of nowhere, you will look back at all the betrayals, all the traumas, all the things that happened in your past, and you will not want to change one thing in your past because it brought you to that moment. And that's the moment the past no longer exists. So people are healing from their pasts in a lot of ways when they do this work. And the side effect of all of this is they feel so whole, so happy with themselves, they no longer want anything. Like all the things they want, they don't really want the house, they're happy with themselves. You know, like, I think that's really a good place to start in life. So there's two things that are really significant about this, because when you look at a television screen and you see moving things on a television screen, you activate what's called the orienting response in your brain. And there are researchers that really are anti-television and anti-movies, and they say, I cannot stop looking. I'm not the person that wants to look, and when it goes on, I can't stop looking because the orienting response is working, right?
Yeah.
But what happens is when you start staring into a television screen or a computer screen, you freeze like that. You just freeze. And now when you freeze, your brain goes into trance.
Yeah.
And when you go into trance, you change your brain waves from what's called beta brain waves, where your analytical mind exists, to alpha brain waves, the world of imagination. And what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. So as you change your brain waves, you begin to suppress analytical facilities. And now the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is wide open.
Yeah.
So you're going to be more suggestible to information. And suggestibility is your ability to accept, believe, and to surrender to information without analyzing it. So you're highly programmable in that state. So if you want to experience that, whatever you're watching...
So CNN, as I'm falling asleep, is the worst thing I could possibly...
News period. So we teach people... Or the second thing, this is the other thing that blows my mind. You watch a television commercial, and I don't watch television hardly at all, but when I do, I'm insulted by a television commercial that's programming the person for the very condition that they have the drug or the answer for.
Yeah.
So, you start seeing a person with a grotesque thing that's supposed to be shingles, and they say, Chris, as you age, your immune system gets weaker and weaker. And here comes Jane, black and white, 50, 60-year-old woman in a one-piece bikini, one-piece bathing suit. She looks pretty good. And you're looking going, whew, she looks better than me. And if you've had chicken pox, did I have chicken pox? Yeah, I had chicken pox. 1 in 4 chance of you getting shingles virus. And they put this grotesque image up. Now, here's what happens. You see that grotesque image, guess what happens? It captures all of your attention because you're alarmed by what you're seeing, and then you lean in. And now they captured your attention, and now you're suggestible. So then in our work, we have people create movies of what they do want to experience in their life, and we put them into trance. And we do the exact same thing. Instead of, hey, Chris, as you age, your brain gets weaker and weaker. Hey, Chris, as you age, your brain is getting better and better and better. Well, why not? And put a person in a trance, teach them how to move and change their brain waves with their eyes open, and all of a sudden you put a good song in there that moves them, and they're seeing scenes of their life with their family and the things they want, and the song is creating an elevated emotion, and we teach them how to open their heart while they're watching it. And I tell you, over time, people start saying, I'm on my third movie, my third mind movie, everything else helping the other ones. I don't know. I'm going to do one to help the world now. So you can. We're so programmable. And when I wrote Placebo, I was mad at myself for 2 weeks, like miffed that I was such a sucker for programming. I didn't even know how programmed I was. And
from just what you learned writing that book.
Oh my God, how programmed we are into limitation. And the antithesis of that is who we really are. Strip away the programming, and like people say, now here's what's happening. Now someone says, hey, I healed myself of this health condition. Then the next question is, can I heal somebody else? And I'll start healing somebody else. Can I heal somebody else across the planet? And we're having people do that now. Like, that's pretty good stuff, right? I mean, so then what's next? Well, just give me the science, give me the theory, give me the understanding, let me comprehend it, and then give me a few shots to take the formula to the next level. And someone's going to do it. And once a few people do it, then it's a brush fire.
It's over,
Well, that we're not doomed by our genes or hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our lives. We are marvels of adaptability and change, and we already know how to do this. And the hardest part of all of this is just making a little time to do it. Just start being, look, if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you are left with the memories of your past, and you'll be predictable in your life. If you're not creating anything new, that means you're believing in your past more than you're believing in your future. Or you're more in love with your past than you are with your future. Or better said, you're making your past more real then your future, once your future starts getting really real, because that's where all of your attention and energy is, your body's going to follow your mind right to that experience, just like it follows your mind to the coffee maker every morning, to the known. It's going to follow your mind to the unknown. And people are doing that, and they're saying, oh my gosh, so you can't tell me you're too old. At this point, I got brain scans of our elders in their 70s and 80s that can rock it. I mean, they just know how to do it. You can't tell me you're too sick any longer. I have really sick people that have reversed very serious health conditions. You can't tell me you had too much of a turbulent past. We have people with brutal pasts that are free and happy. You can't tell me you're too overweight, you're too underweight, you have too many food allergies. You can't tell me any of that stuff. You can't even tell me that you never meditated before. In fact, that's good because you're not trying to do anything. You're just following the information. So I want people to understand that what they hear a lot of times isn't absolutely the truth. That there's always a greater understanding. And when you begin to look at the quantum model of reality that says possibility exists in the quantum, then when you start shaking your mind loose a little bit and you start thinking in different ways, it should have biological effects first. And then you should start seeing the effects in your life, because every thought has a frequency. So you stop hating your coworker, you start producing that energy, that frequency. People notice that. And so I want people to realize that they are powerful, that they can be defined by a vision of the future and begin to create experiences in their life that makes life more meaningful. And technology then, every time somebody blows somebody up or shoots someone or accomplishes some level in a game, there's a huge spray of dopamine in the brain, reward chemical. The receptor sites in the brain can't handle that much dopamine, so they close down. It's like living with a spouse that always yells at you. They have to yell louder to get your attention. So receptor sites are just like that, so they become desensitized. So what happens? The pleasure centers in the brain recalibrate to a higher and higher level, which means in the absence of that stimulation, you can't find pleasure from anything. The sunset is going to be boring. Seeing your grandmother is not going to make a difference. Taking a dog for a walk or playing with a dog is boring. Why? Because you just blew up a nation. Well, that's called adhedonia. You can't get pleasure from anything because you hijacked your pleasure centers to such a high level. Now, what about learning? Learning should be a reward in and of itself. A kid just spent an hour gaming or texting or whatever, and now they have to learn something. They can't turn their brain on. How are they going to turn it on? They're going to get in trouble. They're going to act out just for a little adrenaline, just to wake the brain up, and then that becomes the addiction now. And so technology is amazing, but you got to draw the line, like technology at one point, and then living life, nature, getting out, experiencing, doing this, communing, sitting at a table. Not everybody sitting at a table with a cell phone, but actually really getting it on, right? So we just have to stay a little bit ahead of the curve with that, because if we don't, I mean, the millennial age is such an amazing age. I have kids, that are, in their late 20s and, in one 30 years old, and he's super aware because he's not going to fall into that illusion. He wants to stay ahead of it and lead by example, and that's what's going to change the world, is that.